Joining us on the Newsmaker line now is State Representative Raul Labrador. He is the co-author of a bill that passed in the legislature last week and that our Governor Butch Otter signed into law. It provides for, well, a bit of a defense, a line of defense, if you will, for Idahoans in the face of this health care legislation that just passed in the House of Representatives over the weekend. He was with us last week. He's back with us now, Representative Labrador. Good to have you back here on the Austin Hill Show, sir. How are you?
It's great to be on your show, Austin.
Thanks very much. Listen, we've got a call into the governor's office. We have some remarks that he made to our friends over News Channel 7. We'll be playing those later this afternoon, and I'm sure we'll have him on the program, if not tomorrow, then sometime soon this week. And I'm not going to speculate as to what his timeline might be, but since you're one of the people who wrote this legislation that Governor Otter signed into law, give us an idea, spell it out for us, what this actually provides for, and what a timeline, at least in terms of a series of steps, a process, what might that look like given what happened in Washington over the weekend?
Well, we didn't think it was going to happen this quickly or at all.
And you know what? And I bet you didn't. But I tell you what, I'm sure glad you and your colleagues and the governor were so quick in expediting this. I didn't mean to interrupt you on this one, but I'll tell you, over the weekend I was thinking, thank God you people did what you did and did it in such a timely fashion. But go ahead, sir.
Thank you. What the bill does is pretty much four things. First, it acknowledges that the Constitution has a Ninth Amendment and a Tenth Amendment, which apparently the federal government has forgotten about. Then second, it establishes a policy for the state of Idaho that our citizens are going to continue to be free from federal health care mandates. And the last 2 points are the important ones. It prohibits the state of Idaho, it prohibits any state official from enforcing any penalty on Idaho citizens coming as a result of violating any proposed federal mandates. Mm-hmm. And it tells the Attorney General that he is required to take action against the federal government in federal court to protect the rights of the citizens of Idaho.
And that protection, that proactive step towards protection, Representative Labrador, that would necessarily involve a lawsuit? Are we to understand that?
I think that's the way it's going to have to do. We're going to have to do it. You're going to have a lawsuit in federal court. What the legislation does is it gives us what we call standing. Standing means that you have a right to sue in the federal courts. So it gives us standing in the federal courts so we can go and get in the way of what the federal government is trying to do. And as you know, there's 37 other states attempting to do the same thing.
Yeah, last count I saw we were pushing closer towards 40, but 38 somewhere in there. Do you anticipate more states? I mean, are we going to have maybe 40 plus here in the next few days? What do you expect there, Representative?
I don't know how quickly it's going to happen, but there's already, I believe, 3 states that have passed similar legislation. Virginia and Arizona, I believe, have already passed similar legislation. There's about 4 or 5 other states that are where it's passed at least one house of the legislature. Mm-hmm. And we're just hoping that all the other states join us, because if you think about 37 states, that's critical mass. 37 states is the number of states that it takes to change the Constitution. And if we have 37 states saying that the federal government has violated the Constitution, and even if the federal courts do not agree with us, we can then move forward to try to change the Constitution.
Yeah. State Representative Raul Labrador, one of the co-authors of the legislation that our governor signed into law last week that seeks to protect Idahoans from the very heavy-handed and what many of us believe to be unconstitutional mandates of the Obamacare legislation that passed over the weekend in the House of Representatives. Representative Labrador, as you were crafting this legislation, I'm going to presume you probably had some discussion with our state attorney general and with our governor. If that's the case, can you comment on what those discussions may have been like, and how might you anticipate them responding to the events in Washington over the weekend?
You know, all I can tell you is that over the weekend I spent some time with the governor, because we are all going to different parts of the state campaigning. As you know, I'm running for Congress, so as we're going throughout parts of the state, the governor has been he has been emphasizing how important this legislation is.
Sure.
And he's been emphasizing how proud he is that he was the first governor to sign this piece of legislation. So I think he will be very proactive in the enforcement of this legislation.
And a response from our Attorney General? Go ahead.
You know, I have not talked to the Attorney General too much about it. I think he understands how important it is. And, you know, today, again, I think we're all in a little bit of shock that the Congress actually went through that maneuver last night and was able to to pretty much change the way that America has been doing things for a long period of time. And I think we're all in shock, but we have to be proactive. We can't act like we're defeated. We actually have to use this as a moment to get energized and to move forward and to get back our country.
Well, it's certainly, and I love the way you say that, get back our country, take it back. It certainly is a teaching moment for those of us who are parents. I know you are, and I am as well. And quite frankly, it's a moment, an educative moment, shall we say, for all of us adults as well. Representative Labrador, I know in addition to serving in the state legislature, you're an attorney by profession. You know more than most about the United States Constitution. And I don't want to use alarmist rhetoric here, but I'm speaking from my gut here on this one. And I think probably a lot of people share in the sentiment. How much further can we go down this trajectory before the United States finds it at a sort of constitutional crisis, if you will? Do you care to comment?
You know, I think we're pretty close to a constitutional crisis, but I don't want people to be alarmed by that. I think it needs to be a wake-up call. I think we all need to stand up and do the right thing. I think for a long period of time, we had 8 years of Republican rule in Washington, D.C., and for some reason, the Republicans, not just the party congressional people, but even the party members just kind of were lulled into a state where they thought everything was great because Republicans were in power. We need to make sure we remind Republican office holders what our principles are. We need to make sure that we get phone calls from everybody, and we're told that we want to defend the Constitution and we want to defend the rule of law here in the United States.
All right. State Representative Raul Labrador, co-author of legislation that got passed in our legislature quite quickly. Our governor signed it into law just last week, and quite frankly, just in the nick of time. We were on record with that law before the U.S. House of Representatives did something horrible over the weekend. Representative Labrador, always a pleasure, sir. We'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks very much.